Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed already. I couldn't do this without you. Now, we are continuing on this week with reviewing Doctor Who episodes whilst we're waiting for the new stuff to actually come out because, well, that's what we do on a Sunday, isn't it? We take a look at Doctor Who. This is, of course, voted by you, the subscribers. To vote on the latest poll, please head over to the community page. I release a new poll every Saturday at 10 a.m. BST, British Standard Time. Voting for the current poll closes on Thursday night, and the winner will be announced on Friday morning. Now, this week, we are looking at what is possibly one of the greatest swan songs from a Doctor during the classic era, The Caves of Androzani. Well, I say one of the greatest. I actually think it is the greatest because the greatest Doctor of all time, Colin Baker, didn't even get a regeneration story. How rude. But anyway, let's move on. Well, The Caves of Androzani, as voted by you, the subscriber, was written by Robert Holmes, directed by Graham Harper, and it averaged 7.28 million viewers for the final episode of the fifth incarnation of the Doctor, Peter Davison. The Doctor and Perry land on Androzani, a planet that seems to be quite desolate. The Doctor takes Curiosity as normal and, takes them into the caves of Androzani. And, well, Perry accidentally lands in the nest of something called Spectrox, a Spectrox nest. And she and the Doctor get poisoned from it. It then becomes a race against time to get the antidote. Will the Doctor succeed in time? I'm going to ask you, what is your favourite swan song of a Doctor and why? And I've already said this one is my favourite, and I don't actually have many downs. I do wish, though, that the Davison tenure had actually been given writing like this a lot more consistently all the way throughout his run. There are a few downers that I have, but I'll get to those later because overall it actually doesn't affect my opinion of the entire episode as a whole. Now, when the episode begins, the planet that they land on appears deserted. Perry has the correct inkling, which is pretty good, of wanting to leave, but naturally, of course, the Doctor's curiosity, well, it just gets the better of him. He can't help it. He's the Doctor. That's the way he works. Now, I've often criticized the Shooty Doctor for being extremely reckless in the writing. However, I think RTD really needs to learn, or RTD version 2 needs to learn how to write again, because here, yes, the Fifth Doctor is reckless in some respects. He leads Perry, unbeknownst to him, let's just say that, into danger. She falls into the Spectrox nest. Now, we don't actually know that at first until much later on, when it was actually confirmed by Salatine. However, once he actually finds out that his recklessness of walking into the caves has actually endangered his companion, his immediate responsibility becomes the companion. I'm not sure that's what the current Doctor would actually do. He'd probably cry first and then have somebody else figure it out for him. Now, I love the allegory of the Spectrox, though. It's used to prolong life, and the rich use it to their advantage, much like in real life, where the rich are able to use money to maintain their youth, and medical advances having been made in real life that prolongs our lives in the forms of serums, or in this case, vaccinations, unlike the Doctor's salary. Let's just put it like that. So, okay, I said the word celery. We finally get an explanation for the celery. It turns purple when gases are present. Now, what do you think of that? I'm not entirely sure if it actually pays off in this episode. I feel like it was more thrown in to make sure that J&T, Jonathan Nathan Turner, had the celery explained as he had promised that he would to Peter Davison. Now, it doesn't really do anything other than the minimal revival of Perry. And I would have actually really liked to have seen more use of it in that episode, but we didn't. Let's just stay briefly on the subject of downers. In episode 3, Morgus is speaking to the president, and I believe it stops in episode 3 he's speaking to as well. Um, he has what we call an internal thought, or in the performance world, an aside. Now, I believe this is because of the camera blocking and direction, but that has to be one of the most exaggerated asides or internal thought that I have ever seen. The secretary also taking Morgus's place is also not well written. Probably in this regard, she is actually the most underserved character of the entire episode because she doesn't really have much of a purpose at all. And even without her and her aloofness, I guess you could say, the plot in itself would have pretty much turned out the same way. Now, those downers are all that I have because aside from those small things, the episode is a pretty stellar one. It has, and I quite often forget this, some of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who. Episode 3 is the weakest with the strongest cliffhanger. You know, the Doctor being strapped into that ship, and they're trying to break through the door, and he's having to save Perry, so he's going for it. And that particular one obviously needed to be set up in that way for the regeneration episode, the final episode, episode 4. Now, one of the best cliffhangers though in Doctor Who, or I should say one of the is the Doctor dead cliffhangers, also happens in this story at the end of episode 1, where Perry and the Doctor are locked up. There's a mysterious masked figure in the shadows watching. Who else thought that they were actually shot? They really had truly been shot, and the regeneration was going to happen there. I certainly thought that. Now, of course, it didn't, because otherwise it would have been an entirely pointless episode to end it that way. But we find out who actually saves them. It is the lurking figure of Shara's Jack, or Jack, as I will actually refer to him because I say his name really weirdly. So, Jack is seriously one of the highlights in this episode. Creepy. He's also a word that I can't actually say on YouTube without causing issues towards Perry. Enormously intelligent, a negotiator, a man who is so deformed that he terrifies people. This role wouldn't have been easy to do either. The role demands a mask must be worn. So therefore, he really had to truly rely on the physicality of his actions. In fact, the entirety of this episode was extremely well acted indeed, and it's always great to see versatile actors like Robert Glenister. He was brilliant in this episode as well. Totally fooled me when he was an android and then Salatine. Very much a contrast between the two. This is also probably the best we see of this version of this Doctor and Perry together. They are very interactive, chatty, and the Doctor has the overwhelming urge to protect his companion, particularly when he finds out that he's actually put her in harm's way, and actually putting himself in the way of her and Jack, for example, which is going to be a complete contrast for the twin dilemma. And I'm not saying that the Colin Baker wouldn't actually do that. He probably would. I mean, the Colin Baker Doctor, that did not make any sense. I'm sorry, but he probably would. But in the twin dilemma, who knows what he would have done? His regeneration was erratic. The writers were truly saving the best till last with this one. It's not easy, I would imagine, to write a regeneration episode. You truly have to make it the Doctor's finest moment of self-sacrifice. In this case, he did it for one person only. It was also truly one of the kind, if you actually think about it. The first Doctor regenerated from age and exhaustion. The second was forced to regenerate by the Time Lords. Third was from radiation poisoning and blood loss. And the fourth Doctor fell from height. The sixth Doctor did not get a regeneration story, and I'm still mad about it. And seven was actually shot, and complications arose with his surgery. The fifth chooses to give the Queen bat milk antidote to Perry because, even though he was unsure, there was a chance that he might actually regenerate, which of course he does. And actually, now that I think about it, I just thought of another two downers, just randomly off the top of my head. Colin Baker breaking the fourth wall. Listen, I love Sixie. I love him to bits. He's my favorite. It's not a secret. But he breaks the fourth wall. You know how I feel about that. And the fact that the end credits also credits Colin as the Doctor first and not Peter, and have his face in the closing titles of Peter's regeneration story. Now, what did you all make of that? If you liked it, that's great, but I actually think that was a little bit rude of J&T for making sure that was actually a thing. That shouldn't have happened. Most of the time, in fact, actually all of the time, except for this one occasion, it's normally introducing so and so as the Doctor, or the new Doctor gets second billed. Now back to the regeneration. Now, one of the things I love about Classic Who, and they don't do it in New Who very much at all, is that each regeneration visual is different. The faces of his past companions start swirling around him, or helping him, I guess, to regenerate, or like a life flashing before his very eyes type of thing, whilst the Master tries to stop him from regenerating. I'm guessing like some form of weird kind of connection, like the contact or whatever, something weird like that. Now, his last line is, I might regenerate. I don't know. It feels different this time. Adric. Now, I find that interesting. The specific name drop of Adric. Maybe it's the regret of how Adric actually died. Who knows? What did you take that to mean? Listen, my review is probably more brief than normal. It's almost impossible to actually do this episode justice. Impossible. The pacing is great and the flaws are very minor. What did you all think of this episode? Leave a comment below. Remember that you can vote on the current poll about Doctor Who on my community page. I talk about Doctor Who every Sunday at 4 p.m. and occasionally on Monday too at 4 p.m. For a full schedule list, because I actually cover other topics other than Doctor Who, because this is chat about it, don't shout about it. Check my bio out here on YouTube. If Doctor Who is all you're here for, then absolutely fine. Sunday and occasionally Monday. I will be back tomorrow for TV Movie Monday at 4 p.m. and I'll be covering the recent shenanigans of Disney and Rachel Zegler. Chat about it, don't shout about it. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye-bye.